Today we have Faraland, and so Toby, just so you know, I'm Chase Young. I'm the social media manager here at CertiK. So it's good to sit down with you and kind of figure out what you guys are building over there. So can you give me a brief intro on yourself and the company?
Absolutely, Chace. Firstly, thanks for having me. So my name is Toby, and I'm the head of partnership and communication for Faraland, and I'm also the head of business development for MoonKnightLabs. So MoonKnightLab is pretty much the company which creates Faraland, and also Faraland is our core product. So Faraland is pretty much a turn-based game with their own storyline. With its own storyline, it's going to have a novel based on we have a novel based on that. But what we pretty much is building is trying to build Faraland into a game where it can actually develop in both blockchain and in traditional games. So eventually it is going to be merged anyway, but that is the goal right now. So the game is going to be the biggest game of our own genre. First, we have the art, we have the storyline, and we do have the gameplay as well. And we're not just only building Faraland into a game, but we're building it into a brand, right? So we're gonna have its own comic books. The first volume is being released on I think the end of this year, and a novel as well. And apart from that, we're going to be expanding pretty much on another business area of Web3 and not Web3s. Yeah, that's pretty much what Frontline is doing right now. But so far, we've tried to focus on the product itself. We try to kind of bring out multiple ways to earn for Frontline. So it's load and earn for now as well. So it's play to earn in the beginning. The traditional GameFly or the traditional um, blockchain game, whatever you call it. But right now we have turned into something else as well. So we're trying to provide as much as earning while we're trying to stay, trying to kind of stabilize the economy, the tokenomics for those games. So yeah, I think and then we introduced Learn and Earn as well. It's a program we kind of partner up with partners, and we kind of utilize our own NFT items, then our partner tokens, and kind of like turn into a program, turn into an event, and everyone can join and we can actually play in it. And the Q&A is the question and answers of that program actually take place in our game instead of on website. So yeah, I think that's quite summarize. That's enough of summarizing for what we're doing right now.
Awesome. So one thing I always like to try to do is kind of learn a little bit about the team behind the project, like what led them to that certain sector, whether it be GameFi, all that kind of stuff. So, like, did games play a big role in your life growing up, or like what kind of led you guys towards the GameFi industry?
I mean, for the founders of Faraland, right? So they kind of all they're all gamers, so they're hardcore gamers. I think one of the most famous game is gonna be Dota. So you can see that a lot of influence coming from Dota from our gamers, especially the art. There's a lot of influence, a lot of inspiration coming from that. So I think yeah, but I think the main goal is that we want to create a game. So ever since I was a kid, and I think our fathers, the fathers, as a kid, they have been always playing games since in such a young age. Since some of them start from the age of 8, and some of them start from 12. So yeah, this gaming has been a big part of their life, and especially, um, I think one of our fathers, are gamers of Dota. Um, Apart from that, I think that because they are all gamers, they want to create that product, right? They want to be creating that product which can fulfill the idea of you can play a good game, you can play actually enjoy a good game, and while playing it, you can actually earn something from it, actually own some values in the games. So we kind of create that game where we specialize, we limited out the number of MT we release, and also kind of try to bring as much use case and as much as value to it. So that kind of fulfill the playing games and making money kind of dreams at first, but then we realized that it's not just capable. It's not just gonna stop there. It should be involved more. So they kind of group up together and create the game of course Faraland, and then can move up, and now we're trying to create much more than that. I think that's that. And the inspiration come from multiple games. It's gonna be Fire Emblems. It's gonna be World of Warcraft and Dota. But yeah, again, the game is itself, right? The game itself has played a big part in every single personnel of our land, even art, our design, our development teams, our marketing teams, they are all gamers. Pretty much all of them are all gamers. I would say 90%. But yeah.
Awesome. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned gaming and making money, and those are two of my favorite things, I must say. So, another thing I had was you often see NFTs tied into gaming projects, whether it be you have to own the NFT to play, or they can be like accessories in the game. So, I see that you guys have NFTs. How is that incorporated into the project itself?
So to understand more, so I have to introduce this in a bit different way. So we do have NFTs and we have our NFT collection. And like I mentioned earlier, we kind of limited out the number of NFTs. So we don't do endless minting. So we're kind of trying to keep it as 19 to 20,000 NFTs. That's so we do have two kind of NFTs. We have the ERC 721 and ERC 1155. So the 1155 is pretty much for our equipment items, NFTs, and the ERC 721 is for the hero NFTs. So with the hero NFTs, we have about 20. Initially, we have about 20,000. So a few events, burning NFTs to exchange for equipment. I think we are right now sitting at 19,000 and hero NFTs, and then coming on to the ERC 1155. That's the equipment items. So we do have so I think we all understand what ERC 1155 is. So it's going to use for our equipment. So one type of equipment can have multiple but one smart contract can actually have multiple items. So with that, we also kind of control the how much it for each item, right? The amount for each item as well. So, and I think we are one of the first projects to do this as well. We allows players to equip the NFT items onto NFT heroes. And I think that have been playing a huge role in our games since that we can actually change our appearance. We can keep changing the NFT item and kind of turn into a turn-based tactic. And the thing is that most of people will look at that, oh, that's no different from buying an NFT item and equipping just a normal item on it. But again, the item will be worthless in terms of NFTs, right? You can't own it because the game own it. You can only own the NFT heroes. But in our games, you can actually own both of them. So NFT heroes, NFT items. So pretty much except for two things in the game, which is not NFTs. Every single item in our game is it's an NFTs in the game itself, and you can actually sell it on our marketplace and make a profit of it. Either you want to use it or you can actually trade for it. You can actually be a trader on our own marketplace using the same items, same NFT item and same NFT collections, giving it out at first. So I think with that, we do allow players to decide how much their hero costs, and how much that item worth, because they can actually set out a gameplay. You can set out the meta, eventually, and with that, we can actually how to say it? With that we can actually ensure that, and with that and increasing usage for each item and so on, with upgrading using multiple items, crafting as well. So kind of turning every single item materials in the game into NFTs and make it actually a game utilizing the blockchain technologies, right? So I think that is what the sim- the most simple way to explain it. It is a bit complicated to kind of like explain the whole idea, but briefly is that it is briefly.
Awesome. That makes sense. And then, so for the NFTs, do people mint those directly from your website, or like where can they be traded and all that? Like, do you have certain platforms you're on?
Currently we do have our own marketplace. So everything is pretty much what happened on our website except for the game. The game is in apps. Pretty much everything is from staking, from craftings, from minting, all happen on our website. Like I said, the minting have stopped as well because the minting right now, the NFT here minting is stopped because we want to set a limit to it. And the NFT items, you can minted by crafting. So you have to go and farm materials which can be considered NFT, which you can actually sell it on our marketplace as well. Um, or you can use those NFT and create new NFT. So it's kind of different way of minting. You're still gonna have some fees involving, but it's gonna be a material. So like I say, the NFT collection is like the NFT technologies that we kind of utilize as much as we can onto the game and make it actually interesting and make it actually the materials that you would normally consider worthless in a game would now be a way for you to actually earning something for it. You can actually be a trader of materials.
I see, I see. So like I saw that you guys have different heroes on the website. I think you've sold nearly 20,000 of them. So like what are the main differences in those and like how would users go about picking one?
I mean, it depends on it's all like I said, it's a tactical game, right? So it depends on what type of player you are. You like there are players who want to use to be an assassin in game. You want to use a mage team. You want to be a balanced team. You want to be a full tank team. So it depends on that. So you can actually decide on attributes, right? So it's kind of we have attributes in terms of our here. So we have intelligence, we have strength, agility, and luck, and all of that's going to be affected by the body parts, which is one of the unique point for the NFT collection, for our NFT collection, because every single 20,000, all of those 20,000 NFTs, there's no there's no alike. So it's pretty much unique. They're gonna have different body parts. They're gonna have different mix up of body parts. So we're seeing out 20,000. So we have 20,000 combination of body parts, ranging from the minimum of 4 body parts to 6 body parts. So I think that will affect the game as well. Sorry, affect the attribute of entities, and then race. I was coming races. We have 7: human, elf, fairy, dragonborn, angel, and demon. Those each of the race have different skills. We do have different skill trees. I think 3 different skill trees for each race, and then we have skill books. For each of the races as well. So items is also only available to certain races. So it's up to you what you want. But yeah, there's a lot of things affect the gameplay. So you do have to read out. You have to read and research a lot before you actually buy a team and start playing. Because then you don't want to go and buy a team that you don't know how to play, or you don't want to play with that team, and then you have to sell it and then kind of buy another one again. It doesn't make sense that way. So yeah, so I think the easiest way to do that is go on a blog and read about body part and read about how elements and kind of attributes affect the gameplay.
I see. And then can users read about all that like on your do you guys provide a lot of documents or anything that kind of explain all that for users?
Yeah, definitely. We have a wiki as well, a wiki which created by us. So it's pretty much every single information within in our game is that. So because we have developed for over a year now, there's quite a lot of update, quite a lot of mechanism you have to catch on. And you want to know that as well. So that would give you the best advantage when you're playing. So it's all available on our blogs, available in our wiki as well. So yeah, it's all up there. Document every single mechanism is.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work and a lot of it's very detail oriented. So I see that you guys are live on Android and iOS and PC says coming soon. Do you have any insight as to when that would be going live?
So to explain a bit more, so it's available on iOS and Android in on an app. So it's in IPK files and IPA files. We're trying to create a traditional version of it. So it's going to be launching on um App Store and Google Play in a minimum. So it's a minimum of 6 months, starting from now. From now, comparing from now. So that when that traditional version is out, we're gonna try to create a PC version at that same time as well. So kind of like giving users easier access to the game. So it's gonna be also it's gonna be attracting more users, and also yeah, giving it's gonna be more accessible when that happens. But it's accessible now. Installing APK file on Android is piece in cakes. So it's a piece of cake. And API on iOS a bit more harder. It's not that hard. You just need to use silently. We have all the document, all of the guidance, and we actually create videos to show you how you can actually install it. So it's just I think it's 3-minute video. You're just gonna take 3 minutes to see it and actually know how to install the game. It's quite easy.
Yeah, that's good to hear because often, I mean, a lot of these gaming projects have quite a hurdle for like, because often in this space we kind of forget that a lot of users aren't familiar with connecting wallets and all that stuff for newcomers. So making that transition as easy as possible and explaining it the best you can is really helpful for a lot of users who kind of want to get into the space but don't fully understand. So that's good to hear.
No, I completely agree with that. Because myself, I started knowing about GameFi back in I think 2020, so a bit early 2020, whereas Axie haven't been a big thing as yet, just yet. And then once Axie as well, I kind of dig down and research a bit more, and then I kind of thought it quite interesting. So yeah, I joined a company and start working on a product as well. So even though I'm not a tech guy, so yeah, I'm not a tech guy myself, but I like to play games. So yeah, the transition for me actually pretty hard in the beginning. So at the beginning, I was wishing that I'm sorry, game producers would make it much more easier for me. So that's what we're doing, trying to do as in Faraland as well. And I think that is necessary for all games.
Yeah, I agree. And then for Farland, what is you guys' main focus at the moment? Is it kind of still development? Is it marketing and getting the name out there? Like, what are you guys working on currently the most?
I would say it's pretty much is the product itself. So right, I said Faraland is the core product, right? And Faraland, everything is gonna be revolve around Faraland. So the game has to be there. So we have pretty much a version that you can play PvP, PvE, and we're gonna start unlocking more village in PvE. We're gonna start introducing more and more skills, more equipment, more new equipment by using crafting, more skills and more kind of maps onto PvP. So we want to create a version where we have a much more diverse um and much more feature for players first. Um, and that was what we're trying to do. So the product is what we're focusing on. But again, we're still doing marketing. So we kind of working out and researching on what market is the best to target and to do marketing right now. So I think that I'll share right now. I think Brazil might be a good market to marketing right now. So we are doing research, but yeah, we're gonna be expanding our exposure and marketing onto other countries, other region as well. We have, but we're trying to push it up further. We're trying to create more exposure and more branding within certain countries.
Gotcha. And then with this space, it's kind of ever evolving and rapidly evolving, and there's always new things coming out, things are changing. So I was just curious to get your take on where you see the future of GameFi. Like, what are the pros of it that you can see lasting and withstanding the time, and what do you think are kind of the downfalls that need changed in your opinion?
It's very interesting question. There's no right answer to that question. I mean, for me, and there's no right answer because for GameFi, for Metaverse, Web3, whatever you call it right now, we are kind of in 2.5, the Web 2.5 period, right? So it's a transition period to Web3. So it's going to take a few years. So the downfall, I want to go to the downfall first. The downfall of GameFi is that obviously scam projects, it's huge downfall of GameFi. I mean, how many projects popped up and actually trying to scam users? So that's kind of bring out a bad reputation to GameFi. And but again, it's going to evolve, and it's going to evolve in much more ways. So it's going to be interacting with Metaverse as well. But like I said in the beginning, Metaverse, whatever you're building right now, is just going to be a part of the Metaverse. It's going to be Ultra Metaverse. Whatever you create in a game, or Metaverse, whatever you call it right now, it's going to be integrated into the Metaverse. It's going to be ultimate one. And so with involving games, so it's going to be like, for me, it's going to be Ready Player One, where every game is going to be on one platform. We can actually using their own NFT characters to join every single game. And I think that's how GameFly will look in the future. And I hope that it does, because I want to use my character in Faraland. I want to use my character in other games, like I'll say Skyrim, in other games, because they look just badass. I want to use them in other games as well, because I have built them for quite a while. I don't want to rebuild again when I move to another game, even though with the same genre. I want to use my own characters, the one I have built. Sorry, got disconnected for a second there. Not sure why. Like Skyrim, for example, so it's Aeroscroll, for example. I want to use up my characters. So I think that is going to be the futures of of GameFly. And the downfall is, like I said, the scam projects. And another downfall that we have to consider is the tokenomics. And the pricing of the token. The token is a huge part for the game, right? It's GameFly, because you play and earn. So and you earn the token, not cash. So I think that it has to change, because it shouldn't be just one way of earning in a game. It like a lot of game things. I'm trying to say, oh, they have a lot of way to earn in the games, but all of that is going to be earning the same thing, the same token. For Faraland, we introduced learn earn, right? So we introduced learn earn. So that is a way to for our players to earn as well, but earning our partner tokens and our NFTs. But we kind of like a cold join program for us to like introduce in the beginning. And then and I think that this GameFi should involve and involve more prizes instead of just object tokens for gamer. It could be vouchers. It could be merchandise from from other companies like Apple's, like 7-Eleven. So whatever it is, I think that they should open ways and open the reward pool in just not object tokens, but other merchandise. Other companies should involve with that as well, because the token has a limit. The reward pool always has a limit if you only use the token, and the more if you don't control it well, it's going to cause inflation. Inflation means the price down. Price down means investor lose their trust in the projects, and yeah, it's keep going down. It's the old same story again. So I think that those has to change and evolve in a way.
Yeah, I think the tokenomics is a pretty important part because I mean, games are supposed to be for everybody, and if it becomes very expensive, then there's that barrier of entry, and that kind of goes against the ethos of gaming.
I mean, the entry fees is something that we have to mention, of course. I definitely have to bring it on, because entry fee, it depends on how much you would earn, right? So, like a lot of players, imagine they would invest $100 and earn the return on investment would be 1,000 per month, and I think that it's just impossible. You earn on how much you actually invest in. So I think that, but the reward should be intrigue and worth the investment. So if that initial investment is expensive, you better have the like you better prepare the reward for it. You better have a reward that worth the time of playing and the investment. I think that is more important.
Yeah, for sure. And then you mentioned like Ready Player One, and I mean, I know when I think of the metaverse, that's kind of the end goal that I have in mind of like what it's going to be, what it should be. So then that brings me to the question of like, how do you feel about companies like Meta or Facebook, whatever you want to call them, coming into the space? And do you think that's beneficial or harmful? I know I've talked with another project and they kind of looked at it as it can be harmful, but it's also beneficial in this sense that it can bring adoption a lot faster than smaller projects building in the Web3 world could do it.
I kind of agree with them there. It could be harmful, but it could be beneficial. Harmful at that point, where the big guys going to take it in, it's going to be centralized again. They're going to be setting out their own rules. The big guys, you see, Ready Player One, the bad guy was the greedy guy trying to kind of take it all and own it all. Could be harmful. Big guys coming in, big shot, big organization, corporation. That's I think that big corporation want profit, so that would be a way to do. But again, they would bring huge adaptation to the metaverse. The user base is huge, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media you're using. It has a lot of user, and using those platforms and that trusted that platform and have used it for a while. So they joining it is gonna pace up a lot faster the transition is. So like I said, because Meta join, I think that we are right now in the people are more acceptance of Web3, of GameFly, everything. Because Meta is one of the biggest social medias, right? So Facebook is one of the biggest social media right now. And the guy who owns like, okay, I want to transit. This is the future. I want to transit my apps. They're going to transit my product, my company into that. And a lot of people will say, oh, why? And it's going to start asking themselves why. And they're going to start researching, joining. And that's going to change. That transition going to be way much faster. But again, Meta is trying to step ahead of the game too fast. They're trying to set the idea of what a metaverse is. I think that right now we can't tell what metaverse is. We can expect, we can dream, we can try to build it. But again, the hardware have not catch up to the software. So with that, we do have to consider if Meta would be a good example to lead that transition. We do have to consider that. So I think it will do, but I still have to say it would do good to Metaverse because that transition is going to be way much faster. The acceptance rate going to be faster as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's pros and cons to it, but at the end of the day, the main problem now is just adoption and getting users to see the benefit of the games themselves and stuff. But to kind of wrap up here, I have one more question. I mean, it wouldn't be a CertiK chat without a security question. So I was curious what you guys are doing on your end to kind of ensure user safety and safety security of the project in general.
So I think that a lot of I think I think one of the best way to do this is educating. I think all project does this. Educating user, we do not like admin do not DM first. We do not ask for money. I think that keep repeating that user would know, even to new users, and then try to create safe channels, a safe operation on your social media, where you the team can actually communicate with um, the user better in open space. And also one of the ways is blockchain. Blockchain itself is quite secure. So you can't really change anything that have went on blockchain, right? So same thing as feature. You can see hacks, game hacks that set the game into in the initial point. So a lot of players have lost um the character because of that. But again, like I said, the Faraland has built every single thing on blockchain. Every single thing, every single feature of us is blockchain, backed up by servers. So everything is on blockchain. Everything we have a smart contract. We have a smart contract for crafting. We have a smart contract for mystery box. We have for for the lucky spin roll. We have a smart contract for those. So every single feature of it has a smart contract. Item has a smart contract. The anything has a contract. As long as you don't lose your private keys to your wallet, I think that you would stay safe. And we are proud of our score on CertiK as well. I think CertiK did quite a few audits on Faraland. Um, yeah, we always have tried to maintain our score on an average of higher than 90 on CertiKs. And yeah, constant development of securities and constant educating, and do not share your private keys to anyone, like even your parent. I mean, like you could share your parent, but again, I would better log in instead of logging in the bank, rather than to tell someone about it or to write it down. But yeah, like I'll say, like don't lose your private keys. And educating new user on that is such a critical thing. And I think that is what we're doing. And again, like in technology side, like I explained earlier, every single feature of us is on blockchain. So yeah, I think that is secure, and what we want to maintain that. So that's why we constantly updating our security protocol and constantly checking it as well.
Yeah, seeing that you have an audit and Skynet with CertiK is definitely a good sign as far as the security of a project. And just to kind of throw out a reminder, whenever projects such as yourself do go through big changes or anything like that, it's always important to kind of stay up to date with the audits and
Yeah.
make sure those new contracts are audited as well. But I think we can wrap up here. I appreciate you coming on. And do you have any final words or last pitch you
Yeah.
want to give for users and why they should, like where they can find you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, you can find me. You can find me on social. Please follow social media to keep to have the latest update of Faraland. I think that if you can join as well, would be good. But do your own research. This is not an investment advice. But again, it's gonna be we're trying to create games, and in the end, we're trying to create a good product that's gonna last long for you. So yeah, follow us on Twitter, follow us and join us in Discord to hear all the debate. Um, yeah, I think you can find it on CertiK as well. I'm not sure if you guys put our social media link on it, but I can share it. I can send a link trace of Faraland into the chat right now if you want. Is that a right chance?
That's all right. I mean, this will be posted on the website and YouTube, so
Yeah,
that won't be
it's
too
all
useful.
good now. So it's good now. Yeah, I think and again, do not give your private key to anyone, like even your parent.
Always good to know.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know how many times I have repeated that since I'm in blockchain. So I think that's every single day to users.
Yeah, and for users listening, we do post mini blogs on CertiK.com, kind of what to look for in scams and how to keep yourself safe while navigating the Web3 world. So I would recommend everybody check those out. We have blogs on the top red flags of a project, the top crypto scams and how to avoid them, what to look for, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good guy as well.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I've definitely learned a lot. It's been good chatting with you.
It's my pleasure as well. Thank you for having me, Chance. I guess I'll see you soon then.